Hey, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to go through a few things that I've done with my Rex 80. I received this as a gift from a fellow FPVer, and the first 10 packs through it, there were some issues that kind of kept it from being very fun. I was having desync issues, a lot of jello in the camera, and then also when I would bump into something, it would change the angle of the camera. So I've done some modifications to this. I've changed some things in Betaflight, and I've kind of got this thing right where I want it. It flies great. I don't have any more issues. I will say one thing: the receiver that's in this is the FR Sky XM Plus receiver, and it seems to be a little delicate. You cannot have the quad too close to your transmitter when you arm it. So it'll say like bad RX, or it just won't react at all. You won't get the little green light inside. I took the RX out and did a full update to it, and still having the same issues with it. And my fellow FPVer also has one. He had a few of the issues that I've had, but not the desyncing. So anyway, I'm just going to go through this real quick and give you an idea of what I've done to make this thing my favorite, basically my favorite whoop. I'm not a connoisseur or a guru when it comes to whoops, but I do have a few brushed whoops. So like this is one that I still have, kind of beat up, and then these are my other two. So all three of these are brushed, and this is my brushless. The difference between the brushless and the brushed whoops is, in my mind, pretty significant, especially a 2S. So because I own 1S whoops, I have a bunch of these style of batteries, and this came originally with an XT30. But I looked at the amp rating and did some calculations with the little bit of amp draw. I have my own amp draw device. So I checked into it, and it did not seem to me like it would be an issue to make my own in-series circuit pigtail. So that was the first modification that I made. And underneath, it's pretty cool with this quad. It comes with either a little battery cage, so you have the cage, or you can use the strap. I can't use a 600. These are 450. This cage won't fit the above a 450. I couldn't get anything to squeeze in there. So took the cage off, put the little strap on here. So we just double those up, and then it just straps in like so. I did put a little chunk of Uma grip on here. The original, the two little tiny square battery pads that they originally give you with that, they're garbage. And then you just simply plug, obviously one plugged in doesn't do anything, and once you plug the other one in, then you're good to go. I've flown this a lot, I guess, and like it pretty well. I didn't tighten it down enough, but you get my drift. So with the Uma grip on there, these batteries won't slide out of there, and the strap does a pretty good job. So that was the first modification that I did, was to change that battery lead out so I can use all my little whoop batteries. The next modification that I did is I took a 4-inch zip tie and I threaded it through here. Let me get a close up here so you can see what I'm doing. So I got a 4-inch zip tie here, And then I brought that up. I have the VTX antenna, and I also have one leg from the XM Plus. And then I clear shrink wrap that and then just snipped off the top here. So this is pretty flexible still, but it won't go side to side very easy. And that's a good thing because you don't want to rip your RX antenna off. So if it flexes too much, you can get that torn up or send your stuff into the prop. So it's pretty stiff side to side, but back and forth like you're just hitting a gate when you're racing. It just, no problem. The other thing is it acts like turtle mode. So it holds it up pretty good to flip turtle mode. The next objects, we got the battery lead changeover, which I just kind of made my own. And inside here, I've done this on a lot of other things. I'll take shrink tubing and I'll just shrink it on to here to the connectors with a little piece of Gorilla adhesive tape. I'll just put like a little tiny square in between there and then solder everything up, and then I'll put the clear shrink tubing on and I'll shrink it onto the connector, but I'll leave it wide open in the back. And then I take a little bit of the goop and I squeeze it down inside there, and then I shrink it and then let that set up. And then those pins won't pull out. So I know these pins, if you pull on your battery connector too much, sometimes those pins will pull out the back. If you do this, they won't pull out. You won't ever have any issues with this battery connection. It'll be perfect all the time. And then this is pretty cool how they've made this plate here so you can put a zip tie on your battery leads so you don't tear them off your board. I know this quad got a lot of static. There's quite a few things online about, it's junk or it's this or that or whatever the case may be. But after doing all the things I've done and then changing just a couple things in Betaflight, this thing rocks. I mean, just tears it up. All right. So then my other legs, so you have the L shape for the antennas. The other antenna, I found this placement was the best. I've had no issues at all with this being ripped off or something wrong with it. So the 4-inch zip tie on that leg, so I went down under the frame here, and then I zip tied onto here, and then now all my shrink tubing, you need to make sure you get the kind that has the internal adhesive. So when you shrink it, it sticks to everything. So I put shrink tubing on the end there. So you can kind of see how I've routed that. And then down through the camera, you can see back here, just kind of took the slack up inside there. But this seems to work really well. I haven't had any issues with that. And then being in the L shape, my RSSI stays up pretty good versus having both of them together out the top like some of my other tiny little things. Now, moving on to the biggest issue with this quadcopter is the camera. A lot of Jello, and also the camera would be, you just tap into something and it would change the angle of your camera. I have moved my camera back because in the front hole position, you can see there's another hole right here. The front hole position is where it's supposed to be, and then they made the rear hole position for the HD style. But I found that I like it back here. Unfortunately, I do get some of the canopy in the camera shot, but when I'm racing, I don't really care. I'm focused on just like a small little window anyway. But yeah, this canopy does show up in the camera feed. But because it's so far back, you can really smack into something and not damage the camera or change the angle. Now, originally, you can see in here, they've got this metal, I've flipped this. Originally, that metal spacer went down inside here. Let's see if I get this. You see that right there in front of my stick? That's actually a rubber O-ring. I've got another one on this side. So that's just a silicone O-ring, and with this spacer washer flipped backwards, I'm able to put a fair amount of pressure on this O-ring, and it's locking the camera case to the O-ring to the plastic frame. So now the camera, it takes a bit of force. I have to intentionally push on that to get that to rotate. The stupid design of this thing is that spacer on the inside, you could only tighten the screw against the camera, and then it's plastic on smooth metal. There's no ratcheting. There's no, you could knurl it, maybe take a file and put some gnarls in it so it grabs that plastic. But because it was smooth, this camera would just, no matter how much you tighten it down, it would just slide up and down, no problem. And because of that, when you're flying, the vibration would make that camera just kind of move ever so slightly, So by isolating the camera with the rubber and that nylon, those little, they're really tiny little, they're really tiny little silicone O-rings. So you can put a pretty good amount of pressure on them, and they won't slide around. So that's everything I've done with this thing. So the 4-blade prop, I did change to a 3-blade prop, and for me, I noticed when I would go, when I'm heading into a straightaway and then trying to scab off some of that speed, the 3-blade prop would slide. I would slide further, and it wouldn't grab that corner. With the 4-blade prop back on, I do see a pretty significant difference when it comes to just kind of flat out getting it, and then 90-degree turn. So for me, I'm gonna definitely stick with the 4-blade prop. I felt like the 3-blade prop didn't give any advantage. I didn't see much more flight time. I get anywhere around 5 minutes of flight time, and that's boogieing right along, and that's at 4.3 volts. So I charge these up to 4.3 volts, and I'm getting 5 minutes average of pretty good. I would say, here would be flat of flying at about that angle. So pretty good. I like the little guy. He's something. So that's the Spedix Rex 80. And it does have, I wasn't really, this video is really not a review of the thing. There's 100 reviews out there. But the motors I did find to be quite notchy. And they are 1103, 11,000 kV. These motors on 2S 450 scream right along. Now the beta flight settings that I've changed to, my motors don't get hot, my batteries don't get hot. Really seems like this thing's locked in pretty well, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I'll go ahead and share some beta flight information. If you have any questions or comments on this, or maybe even if you have a little mod that you've done, I'd be interested in hearing about it. But I appreciate you visiting my channel, and I'll put some beta flight information up here, and you have a good one. Thanks. Alright, we're going to go ahead and connect to the Rex 80. And you can see here we're moving right along, so everything's working. I have extra UART in the ports tab. Looks like they have the XM Plus on UART 6, and Smart Audio, which works great on UART 3. And then an extra UART. I'm going to mess with that later. Configurations tab. Originally this was a D-Shot 600. I just believed that I was having issues just falling out of the air. I've changed this to D-Shot 300. I've reversed my motor direction, and I have changed to 4K 1K. And as far as I could tell, this is taking care of just about all of my issues that I've had. So the thing seems to be working pretty good. And then the only thing I have in PIDs, didn't change really anything in here. But there's a shot of my PIDs. Okay. And in modes, I just have angle, horizon, and then air mode. I only have that come on when I am in acro mode. Otherwise, air mode is disabled. And that helps when you're flying through gates or you're flying through small openings. You don't want your air mode on because it just makes it wig out. If you have it turned off in angle or horizon, when you bump into stuff, it stabilizes a little easier. A note I picked up off of Project Mockingbird, which I have not installed on this. I did on a Teeny Hawk though, and it made things a lot better. So I'll just kind of scroll through this real quick, and that'll be it. Just in case there's something in here that you might see that would help you out. And like I said, if you have any questions about this, or there's something you want to know about it, just let me know, and I'll do my best to help you get through it. But there you go. Again, thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.